And we're talking to KJ Waters, who has a series of books in the works and two that have already been published. And we're talking about time travel. We're talking about a lot of exciting things here in your books, and I absolutely love it. So congratulations on your two books and your second book that just now came out, right?
Thank you, yes.
This is exciting. You've got the first book, Stealing Time, and the second book, Shattering Time, and just the titles are intriguing for sure.
Well, good. I'm glad you think that.
And I have read quite a bit on the first book, and I haven't dove into the second book yet, but I just love your work. So let's talk a little bit about what all would be intriguing for our listeners to understand about your writing and about your stories. And I just love the whole time travel. I think that it definitely adds a lot of depth and a whole nother dimension from Outlander to it's exciting to see, that you're willing to kind of stretch your imagination and go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I was inspired by Outlander. The story came to me after I moved to Florida, and 3 days later, Hurricane Charlie hit. And so that entire summer, if anyone's familiar with that summer, it was 2004, there were 4 major hurricanes that hit in 6 weeks. And that was our first 6 weeks in Florida. It was like, welcome to Florida. So a year later, I was on a long trip heading from Florida up to Maine with my family and realized I had, what better backdrop than that? So that's the premise of the Stealing Time series. Book 1 starts with Hurricane Charlie. And the start of it is that the storm is approaching, and Ronnie Andrews goes to her boyfriend's weather lab. He has the air conditioning, and it's a very comfortable place to go. It's safe. It's underground. She goes there, and during the storm, she ends up going back in time. She has no idea how that happened. She goes back to 1752 London and has no idea how she got there, but also she's very modern in her view. Women now can have a lot of freedom. Back then, they were used more as a piece of property, negotiating tool for marriage. And so she does not fit very well, and they think she's pretty strange. She's very, very independent and doesn't want people, telling her what to do or whatever. And like most of us would be if we went back in time. And that's what intrigued me so much is like, what would you do? How would you handle it? And so what happens with her is they think that she's a witch. And, not the cartoonish ones that we're talking about now, but the ones that they like to hang. Yeah. So her dilemma is, how do I stay alive enough to figure out how to get home with zero information? The other half of the story is her friend Stephanie McKay, who's in the Hurricane Charlie. And her cat is let out into the storm, and she's like, oh, no. So now she's out wandering around in the storm, and all these things happen to her. So it's kind of two pieces of the story. Wow. And when Stealing Time ends, I started Shattering Time immediately after. It's like the next hour that happens. So it's really fast paced. It's part historical fiction. It's part science fiction.
It draws you in, and you just don't even know how to put it down.
Yes. That was
it's a page turner for
sure. That was the plan. Yeah, and so Shattering Time, it's like a playground for me. Time travel is my wicked playground. I can go wherever I'm interested in. I can go to any corner of the world, and it doesn't necessarily have to be really reality, which, in most cases I've used every piece of history that's actually true. Same with the storms. It's all exactly how it had happened. But there's, with it being fiction, I can do elements that I want. So Shattering Time, she goes back to 1588. The lost colony of Roanoke Island, which is America's very first mystery. We had a colony that started right off of the coast of North Carolina, and there was a lot of problems with the native population, and they were running out of supplies, so their governor sailed back to England for more supplies and some reinforcements. And when he came back, there was nothing. There was no buildings left. There were no people. There was no sign of where they went, except for a carving in the tree that said Croatoan. And that was there was a native, an Indian tribe that was called that. And so they assumed they had gone to the Croatoan tribe. No one was there. They couldn't find. So to this day, we don't know what happened to these people. So for me, it's like, well, if I come in there as Ronnie Andrews landing in this time period, what issues does she have? Now she's even further back in time.
So I really congratulate you on all your tremendous work.
Thank you. I appreciate
and you
that.
have 2 more stories in process, right?
I
This
do.
is kind of a 4-book series.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So Stealing Time and Shattering Time are out right now. And actually, I'm doing a book signing this Saturday at 2.
Wonderful.
At Barnes & Noble for both of those books. I'm working on Killing Time right now, which is the 3rd book in the series. Where
I just love these names.
Thank
These
you.
are just awesome. And the artwork on the cover, I have to say, just totally coordinates with that and ties in to the whole time and the shattering of the time, stealing time, the shattering time, now killing time.
Yes, Killing Time. So we haven't done the cover yet, but I have some very distinct images for that. And that book is set, Ronnie goes on a business trip to Puerto Rico with her boss. And then a hurricane forms offshore. And that's the adventure.
And now you have the 4th book. Do you know what it's called?
Yes, that one's going to be called Fracturing Time.
Wow.
And that one I can't wait to write. I'm excited about writing Killing Time, because there's a scene in there that I've been waiting to fully flesh out for about 7 years. I cannot wait to get to it. And I'm just at that point right now in writing. It's there, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go back and finish that scene. But it's the first surprise in that book, and it's...
It wakes you up in the middle of the night, right?
It does. You're right. You're absolutely right.
It did that for me. I just thought, oh, this is how that's going to go. I have to write it right now before I forget.
Before it falls away, and you're like, what was that great idea? Yes.
So, well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
So great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, too.
And I know that you've got a great website, and you're out there on Twitter and everything else. So folks can find you on social media and get a glimpse of your books, and they can go to Amazon and they can go purchase your book. And
Yep. Stealing Time is on every outlet: Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Amazon. I just have right now Shattering Time is exclusive on Amazon. But if you go to my website, kjwaters.com,
okay.
I have all the books, and there's samples that you can read. I've got all my social media on there. I have deals right now. I have all kinds of little special free things. Okay. So hop on over there.
Thanks so much, KJ.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.